Okay. So welcome to Creative Mornings, October 29th, I believe. So we're here in Victoria on Vancouver Island. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that this is the traditional territory of the Lekwungen speaking peoples, known today as the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. We feel very fortunate to be here in this place in the world, in the Pacific Northwest, and continuing our working relationships and our friendships with the Indigenous communities here. My name is Leah McInnes. I'm the outreach coordinator at the Victoria Arts Council, and I'm also a co-lead of the Victoria chapter of Creative Mornings. I have some slides to thank our sponsors before I hand it over to our presenter today. So sorry, my computer has seen better days. It's loading. Okay. Welcome to Creative Mornings. The theme for today's discussion is design. To design is to create, out of nothing, something. To design is to play, an invitation to stay open and curious and reimagine in new ways. To design is to think, a method of learning through making, scraping field experiments for fresh insight. To design is to be human. That was written by the Trois Rivières chapter, who chose this month's exploration of design. Oliver Charland illustrated the theme, and Skillshare is presenting the theme. Thank you to MailChimp, Creative Mornings' official global partner for marketing. 2021 marks the 12-year anniversary of MailChimp supporting Creative Mornings. Their generous partnership has allowed us to grow from just a handful of chapters to over 220 today. As true champions of the underdog, we are so grateful for their support, which makes all Creative Mornings events possible. Thank you to our global partner for online learning, Skillshare. Skillshare has launched an exciting new opportunity designed to support professional development of your creative teams. You can now offer your team a platform for creative learning and development that covers everything from graphic design to leadership and management. Skillshare has everything your creative team needs to become better problem solvers, inspired innovators, and energized leaders. So you can take a look at teams.skillshare.com if you want to check this out for your working environment. Thank you to the City of Victoria, who initially started the Victoria chapter of Creative Mornings before handing it over to the Victoria Arts Council, and continues to support us. Thank you to HCMA, a local architectural firm. HCMA designs buildings, brands, and shared experiences that connect people. So as I mentioned, we are the Victoria Arts Council. For those who are local, this is the last weekend to view our current exhibition, A Moment in Time by Samantha Dickey. We're located downtown in Old Town on Store Street. So if you are in the local area, this is last weekend to view this exhibition. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming our speaker today, Dr. Heng Wu. Dr. Heng Wu joined the Art Gallery of Greater Victoria in December 2019, where she works as the curator of Asian art. She also teaches museum studies at UVic. Before that, she worked at Nanjing Museum, China, as the associate curator and chief international officer, developing and overseeing international exhibitions and programs. She received her doctoral degree from the University of Bergen, Norway in 2011. Her dissertation explores the changes of regional museums in China during 1949 to 2009, with a special focus on their correlations with the country's social political changes. She has worked on a variety of exhibition projects and has been invited to speak at museum conferences and forums. Her research interests include museum and society, museum communication, exhibitions and storytelling, the localization of exhibitions, and particularly the interpretation, presentation, and representation of Asian collections in a global context. I'm going to pass it over now to our speaker.
Thank you, Lian. Good morning, everyone. My name is Heng. I work at the Art Gallery of Great Victoria. Thanks for inviting me to Creative Mornings. I really think it's a brilliant idea. Everyone is creative, everyone is welcome. So thanks for spending the time with me in this kind of wet, chilly, but creative morning. Too bad we could not meet in person, but at least we are still be able to connect face to face thanks to internet and Zoom. So when Keegan reached me about this talk and told me that the theme of this month is design, I was a little bit unsure like if I'm a good fit for this because I'm not a designer nor an artist. And then Keegan removed my concern with these very nicely put words. He said, what's so great about Creative Mornings is that it is totally open to interpretation. I really like this idea, the openness, which I believe is one of the core features of being creative. So today I'm going to be creative and talk about design through a curatorial perspective. And I do find that curating and designing share a lot of similarities. So in the following, I'm going to draw on the exhibitions that I have worked on in the past, both from my current work at the AGGV in here, and also from my previous work at the Nanjing Museum in China, to discuss the curatorial thinkings behind these exhibitions. I'm going to share my screen, sorry. Does it work? Okay, good. Yeah, this is the title of my talk, Design a Curatorial Perspective. If you have been to the art gallery recently, you probably have seen our blue and white exhibition, which was opened in February. So it has been there for a while. The exhibition explores blue and white ceramics in a global context. When I joined the art gallery, I was really thrilled at the massive Asian art collection that the gallery holds. I feel really greatly honored to be the curator of it. My predecessors have done a great job in building such a wonderful collection. So from day one, I joined the gallery. The question that I have always been thinking about is how to best use these collections. To show them through exhibitions apparently is one of the most straightforward way. Well, putting on the objects in the gallery space for the audience to view composes only half of the work. The other half lies in how these objects are received, enjoyed, and appreciated by the audience. So here is where the design steps in. As a curator, in addition to doing research on these works, we also needed to think about and design a way to connect these objects to the audience, to invite the audience in, to engage them. So in the case of this exhibition, the ultimate goal is to let our blue and white ceramic collections to be enjoyed by our audience. But what is the best way to do it? After doing some research, I found that blue and white porcelains is truly a global product, just like Coca-Cola, for example. It was invented in China, however, with influences also from other cultures. The entire journey that it has taken from its formation and variation features its global characteristics and embedded with various local traits. So I decided to choose glocal, a word combining global and local as the central point, and designed a storyline that unfolds the history of blue and white ceramics in a global as well as local contexts. The idea to use global concept was also inspired by the challenge that we are currently facing. Pandemic has restrained our mobility to local, but in the meantime, it also expands our global connections in a way. For example, an event like this today could be joined by people across the globe. I should also explain here that the original exhibition title is called Global Blue and White at the AGGB. However, after discussing with my colleagues in marketing, we realized that this title is kind of not very catchy. So now we changed to the current title, more straightforward one, Blue and White. So once the central idea of the exhibition is confirmed, I then designed the structure of the story, which includes 5 main sections, respectively dedicated to 5 geographic regions. The first section is Blue and White of China, which introduces the origin of blue and white porcelains in China and how it became successful in the international market, and also how this international success subsequently stimulated the appreciation of blue and white aesthetics in domestic China. So the section includes some very fine pieces from China's imperial collection, as shown in this image. And it also includes some pieces, sorry about my dog. It also includes some pieces that were manufactured in China, but bear obvious features from other cultures, as you can see here. For example, on the right image, this large plate, a plate with a size as large as this is not what is conventionally used in China. It was made for the Islamic market for their communal dining practice. And also the densely patterned decorative style also shows it. The second section addresses blue and white of Europe. Here you will see Delft wares, Royal Wurst wares, and some other European pieces. Then there is also a sections about Japan and one section about Korea and Vietnam. I'm not going to dive into details, but anyway, in each section, you will see pieces that vividly illustrate how this product reflects local traits. In addition to the main storyline that unfolds along the geographic regions, I also designed 3 special sections, respectively dedicated to the crack wares, emery wares, and the shipwrecks. The reason is that these 3 categories particularly well demonstrate the integration of global and local. For example, I have an image here, shows the emery ware. Emery is the name of the seaport in Japan where these type of porcelains were shipped out to the global market. This type of porcelains feature palette of underglazed cobalt blue and overglazed enamels of bold colors. commonly red and gold, as you can see from the image here. Despite the colorful style that they developed into, Imari wares were originated from the blue and white porcelains manufactured in China. The addition of these lavishly applied overglaze decorations embodies a Japanese aesthetic. It was a magnificent innovation and a successful localization of the blue and white porcelains in Japan. This innovation was so successful in international market that it was widely copied in Europe and also in China, where this type of porcelains was originated. So in this showcase, you will see Imari wares which were manufactured in different places of the world. What also worth mentioning here is the inclusion of non-ceramic items in this exhibition, like paintings, textiles, as you probably have noticed from previous image I have shown. The inclusion of these 2D items serves a dual functions. First, they provide some contextual information for blue and white porcelains. A second function is being decorative. For example, this painting on the left picture, you can see this painting behind these blue and white wares. I have a better image of this painting. So this is a painting by a 17th century Dutch artist. I'm not sure if you have noticed here, there is a blue and white ceramic jar in the painting. As a matter of fact, when the blue and white porcelains entered Europe, they were so much loved and appreciated by European people that they were frequently deprecated by artists in their works. So this is a good example showing the popularity of blue and white porcelains in Europe at the time. As you can see here, behind these Japanese blue and white porcelains, I have also included the 3 large textile panels hung on the wall. These are futon wraps and they are blue and white. While the term blue and white refers to this type of porcelains, it is, after all, a color palette. And you will see it almost everywhere: blue sky and white clouds, blue sea and white waves. So I put these 3 blue and white patterned textile panels on the wall, which also adds a very nice tone to the whole exhibition space. So as you see, the curatorial process is full of design. Another example I want to briefly talk about here is this exhibition, Collecting and Connecting, which is the first exhibition I put on after joining the gallery. I joined this gallery in January 2020. By that time, the position of curator of Asian art at the gallery had been vacant for a while. My predecessor, Ms. Barry Till, who I'm sure many of you know of, got retired a couple of years back. So there hadn't been any Asian art shows for a while. So here I just want to add some background information. The Art Gallery of Great Victoria holds the 2nd best Asian art collections in Canada. Of its over 40,000 pieces of collections, half are works of Asian art. So it is fair to say that Asian art plays a significant role in forming and representing the gallery's identity. Actually, many of our patrons are Asian art lovers. Some of them, as I was told, started to be upset about the silence of Asian art in the gallery. So I needed to quickly put on something to regain their trust and support. I then came up with this idea to have an exhibition showing the newly acquired works in the recent years. Compared to other types of exhibitions, new acquisition shows require relatively less time to prepare. However, I cannot just put these objects there. So I designed an outfit for this show, collecting and connecting. I want to tell our audience through this exhibition that during this seemingly silent period, the gallery is still collecting Asian art and we are still connected. As you can see from the image here, beside the exhibition title sits a statue of a happy Buddha. Why choosing this piece? There are some design ideas behind. First of all, the goldish color, the scale of the statue work very well with the title wall. Secondly, I deliberately chose it for its symbolic meanings. The opening of this exhibition was in March 2020, when the global pandemic was just announced. So his smiley face delivers a sense of optimism, and his big belly, which is a symbol of tolerance and inclusiveness, which is what we all need when confronting the challenges by COVID pandemic. So yeah, after discussing these two examples, I want to talk something about relevance. I believe we all have got this same experience in life. If something is relevant to us, we always show more interest in and more eager to engage. Same here with the exhibitions. If the exhibition is more relevant to the audience, they will have more drive to visit and to respond. So relevance stands in the center of my curatorial philosophy. I can quickly talk about some examples that I have worked before when I was working at Nanjing Museum in China. Before doing that, I will do a quick introduction about Nanjing Museum. This is the Nanjing Museum, which is located in the eastern part of China. Before I joined the art gallery, I worked there for 7 years. It is one of the largest and best museums in China. This is how the museum looks now after a grand renovation completed in 2013. The museum holds 420,000 pieces of collections covering almost all the time major historic periods of Chinese history, spanning a broad variety in categories, including jade, silver and gold, porcelain, textile, paintings, and calligraphies. It receives over 4 million visitors a year. The long lines of people waiting for getting to the museum are often seen, especially during the public holidays. Of course, it was before COVID. So when I was working there, one of my main duties was to develop international exhibitions, which include both the exhibitions we send out to museums in other countries, but also the exhibitions we brought in from other countries. Traveling exhibitions, in many cases, the theme of the content of the exhibition is not familiar with the local audience, which means they are not closely relevant to the local audience. So a major curatorial task here is to make these exhibitions more locally relevant. So I'm going to use some examples to show how curatorial design can make exhibitions more relevant. This exhibition, it's called Ming, the Golden Empire, was toured in Europe for 1 year at 3 venues. This one was the first venue, the New Church Museum in Amsterdam. Ming, as you see, M-I-N-G, Ming is the name of one dynasty in Chinese history between 1368 to 1644. Ming Dynasty, I mean, almost everyone in China knows more or less a little bit about it, but to a local audience in Amsterdam, this is not something they could understand. So how to make it more relevant to the local? As you can see here from the picture, it is a group of journalists from local media of Amsterdam. They visited the Nanjing Museum before the exhibition. This is me introduce this Ming Vas to them. So they were making notes. They visited the museums, they see the collections, they visited the city, and they were making notes. And after they went back, they wrote a lot of articles, a lot of essays to introduce the theme, the museum, the city, and the exhibition. So which means, before the opening of the exhibition, the local audience have been warmed up, have been started to be familiar with the topic. So I think this is one of the very effective ways to make the exhibitions more relevant to the local. Here is another example. This is the exhibition we sent to the UK during the London Olympics, which was displayed at a local museum, Colchester Castle Museum. The special feature of this exhibition is the involvement of local students in the curatorial work. About 2 years before the planned exhibition date, a group of 10 students from the local school of Colchester paid a visit to Nanjing Museum. From the museum's vast collections, each student was able to select one of his or her favorite object to be included in the exhibition. Based on their selection, we added the other objects to compose this exhibition. So you can see here their smiley face. So this was the opening of the exhibition. And these students, they were so excited to see the pieces they chose, like from Nanjing Museum's collections, finally displayed in their local museum. So I think this, the involvement of local people in the curatorial process is also a good way to make the exhibition more relevant. Here is another exhibition. It's called Pharaohs and Kings. The approach to this exhibition, I would call it a comparative curatorial approach. During a visit to Rome, in their storage rooms, me and my colleagues, we were attracted by their collection of mummies, not only human mummies, but also various animal mummies, which remind us of the pottery tomb figures in Nanjing Museum's own collection. So this initial idea was turned out to be this exhibition, which juxtaposed the ancient Egyptian collections from Rome and the ancient Chinese collections of the Han Dynasty from Nanjing Museum's own storage in one exhibition space. So the local audience, they are quite familiar with the local museum's own collection and with the Han Dynasty. Then through this comparative approach, they are able to better understanding the theme and also the stories behind these collections. So yeah, I'm not sure if these examples I have shared, I was just trying to say, curating an exhibition, the whole process is full of design. Like the design of the idea, the design of the theme, also the design of the gallery space design, like the cases, how to position these objects. So yeah, I hope my my sharings is relevant to the theme of this month's design. And thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer and discuss.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heng. That was fabulous. I have a question.
I'm losing.
Oh, sorry, my audio is just being weird. Right at the beginning, when you were talking about designing the story and telling a story, and maybe this is just me drawing from my own interests, but I was wondering if you could talk more about that part of storytelling, like when you are bringing an exhibition to a new place, just like that storytelling as a part of curating.
Yeah, okay, sure. This is actually one of my research interests. Like I'm always fascinated by how we are able to localize the exhibition through curatorial work. So as the examples I have talked about, in terms of storytelling, what specifically like you want to?
I suppose like narratives, like maybe I don't know, fictional narratives that may go with something, or even yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I always regard exhibitions or museums as a kind of mass media, just like one exhibition is really like a movie. So you're making an exhibitions is very similar to make a movie. So you have to think about the storyline, the themes, like yeah, just think about a visitor come into the gallery, like at the entrance or at the title wall. It's like the beginning part of a movie. So you have to, as a curator, you have always bear this in mind, like how he or she is able to experience or able to, what should I say, to see how he or she is able to experience the whole lines of story when it is unfolding. So you have to think about, for example, you have to think about the climax, for example, like then you need to think about to choose some pieces which may the audience may have the most interest in, to highlight them. Just like a movie making. So yeah, narrative is very important in making exhibitions. But a point I want to emphasize is, as a curator, we are not fiction makers. We are not making stories. We are just using the narrative approaches to make the exhibitions and the collections better understand and enjoyed by the audience.
Thank you. Oh, I love that. That analogy of being making exhibitions is like making a movie. That's so interesting. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? You could feel free to unmute yourself and just talk, or you can type your questions into the chat.
I see what people are talking about here.
Oh, there was a question in the chat that was asking about the size of the ceramics collection at the AGGV, but I believe you touched upon that in introducing your first exhibition there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are about 40,000 pieces of collections in the gallery, and half Asian art. And here's one talking about what is that? Bring some traveling exhibitions to here. Yes, I'm actually I do want to work on this, and yeah, before joining the AGGV, I was collaborating with ROM. I was helping them on a traveling show. But of course, this is just an idea. It's a plan. It's not really something we're going to do because of pandemic. So the project was paused. But I do hope through in the future, through collaborations with other with colleagues in other museums, I'm very happy to bring in the traveling shows. It doesn't have to be this like a blockbuster shows. It's just I hope we can create opportunities for the local audience to see, to experience other civilizations, for example, other stories. Yeah. Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Well, I have I've been writing notes throughout your talk here. One of the so I'm a visual artist, so I think about color quite a bit. And I was thinking about the blue and white show and the psychology of the color blue. I know there are many texts written about it, but then seeing these ancient beautiful ceramics and the popularity of the blue and the white. I wonder if that was something that you thought about and in the gallery when you were putting this show together.
Yeah, the colors. You know, I should say blue and white is not traditional color that that traditional Chinese aesthetics would appreciate. So I can show a picture here. Let me see if I have. Are you able to see my sharing? No.
No.
Just a minute.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't talk about this in my presentation. This is also actually a section of the show. It's what I call is blue and white before blue and white. It works as a preface of the whole exhibition. Here I include some pieces, as you can see, the greenish ware and a white porcelain plate. These are more, I should say, traditional Chinese aesthetics towards colors. And then you will see this blue and white pieces behind. They were from Islamic world. So this is how also like one of the evidences to show why blue and white porcelain is a global product. Because from its formation, in addition to the Chinese porcelain making skills and technologies, it also received influence, either like the color aesthetic, the taste, and also the blue, the pigment from Islamic world. So yeah, I mean, so this is a good, again, it's an example of showing this is a really globally influenced product.
Thank you.
The colors, we also have to think a lot about the colors when we eventually put the shows on. So I always worked with our installation team and discussing about which color to paint on the wall, which color works well with the collections. So like this one, because the objects themselves already are so like with blue and white, very strong colors. So we just choose the white as the title wall, as the color of the title wall. And for the wall putting on, which where we put on these oil paintings, then we chose the color of the earth, because we like for me, blue and white, like I said in my presentation, are colors of skies and clouds, like seas and waves. So they are color from nature. So I chose the color of the earth, like a brownish, the soil color is also a color from nature. Yeah, there are many design considerations in the process.
Thank you.
You're frozen.
Oh, thank you. Another question in the chat from Gerald asking, will there be exhibitions by local current artists too, for example, Indigenous artists at the AGGB?
Yeah, definitely there will be. And we have just taken down an exhibition which it's called In Holding Ground, which were Indigenous, like by, which showed the works of art by Indigenous artists. Yes, visit us. And you will see frequently, we will have some local and Indigenous pieces on. And also local is something we are very, we are emphasizing, like we are promoting. For example, for each shows we put on, we always think about, have we included some local artists, because we think it's important for a museum, for a local institution to promote local artists.
Thank you. So we're just coming up to noon now. I think the sun is coming out in downtown Victoria. I wonder if there's any more questions, or if not, then maybe this could be a good place to end it.
Yeah, good. And feel free to contact me if you have any question in the future.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, have a great weekend, everybody, and thank you so much, Dr. Heng Lu. It was so fascinating to hear about your curatorial journey, and it's exciting. I can't wait to visit the AGGB next.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and have a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you.